If we work together, we could pull this country out of every mess it's in. And we could do a lot of the things that you're talking about, too. And I think I've got a reputation of having worked together with Democrats.
Let's start with Chip.
Not starting with Chip. I did it. I've done it for years. I've got more bills.
Start with Chip today.
I got more bills passed than everybody on this committee put together. And they've been passed for the benefit of people in this country. Now, all I can say is I like you personally very much, but I'm telling you, this bullcrap that you guys throw out here really gets old after a while. To do it right at the end of this was just not right.
Now, Orrin Hatch, who was the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, is rumored to be contemplating retirement, and some of that might be at work last night when Sherrod Brown, the Ohio Democrat facing a tough re-election campaign, returns to the litany always used by the left. Since it's Friday, it's test time. You ready? Fill in the blank. Tax cuts for the rich. Right? That's what they always say, whether it's true or not. And so there was Orrin Hatch, frustrated, agonizing over the fact that he worked across the aisle. He used to be, he thought, best friends with Ted Kennedy. And of course, Ted Kennedy would use him as a convenient foil for class warfare, kind of ironic, given the wealth of the Kennedy family. But Orrin, fundamentally a decent guy, and he was just reacting to all of that. Now, this came at the end of the Senate markup of its version of the tax bill. In terms of the House, the work is done. It passed yesterday. 227 to 205, not a single Democrat vote. A few Republicans saying no, and we'll explain why in just a second. But again, let's listen to an exultant chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Kevin Brady.
Think about what this means. For a typical middle-income family in my district, it means they'll save over $2,000. For that small business along Main Street, who they work their tail off, weekends, evenings, for their family, that entrepreneur who's right on the cusp of finally making it, this bill means over $3,000 in tax relief. And for Texas as a whole, look, I'm going to welcome those 74,000 new jobs that are headed our way because of tax reform. And it also means hardworking Americans everywhere are going to see more in their paychecks, and they need it so badly.
Yeah, they need their money in their pockets very badly. But what's very curious is the high tax states, New York, New Jersey, California, to name three, where most of the Republican defections, most of the no votes came from, with the only exception, I believe, being Walter B. Jones, Jr., Republican of North Carolina. Those high tax states are really worried. Take a look at this article from Reuters by way of Yahoo. And the headline reads, U.S. towns, cities fear taxpayer revolt if Republicans kill deductions. You see, as it stands right now, those exorbitant state taxes that people are paying in New York, New Jersey, and California, and probably a couple of other states, as it stands now, taxpayers get a full deduction. Now, we've had calls the past couple of days, a call yesterday from a lady in New Jersey, a call the day before from a lady in New York State, and they're saying, hey, look, we're conservative Republicans, but do you guys realize what you're doing to these states? Fair point. But the question becomes, the taxpayer revolt, will it be against the Republicans, or will it be against state government that has overtaxed people and used to spending money with reckless abandon? If I'm not mistaken, I believe we have now established contact with my good friend Michael Patrick Flanagan, the man with whom I served in Congress, the man who made history by defeating Dan Rostakowski. Excuse me, I'm still getting an echo here, but I will bear on if I get to hear the words of wisdom of Michael Patrick Flanagan, who defeated Dan Rostenkowski, the Ways and Means chairman, back in 1994. So, Michael, you didn't serve on the Ways and Means Committee, but you have more than a passing familiarity with taxes. All the class warfare, but this bill, will it help make the difference for the GOP in 2018?
Yeah, I think it will, JD. And the class warfare is just the usual ordinary crapola you get from smarmy guys like Sherrod Brown. I mean, he has such a way of projecting himself that you just want to grab him, and just shake him, because he has such a smarmy way of saying what he's saying. But he's really just repeating the same old line: soak the rich, or tax breaks for the rich when we should be soaking the rich. This state and local deduction is all about small business and ordinary Americans. Most people do not take anything other than the standard deductions. This deduction doesn't even matter to them. But for those of you who do take the state deduction, the standard deduction is being doubled. So you don't even need this deduction anymore, because you'll never itemize. I'm a small business owner. I itemize about half the time. And I will never itemize again if they double the standard deduction. And that deduction is aimed at me, the small business owner. For the guy who's making $1 zillion a year, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year of adjusted gross income, he's going to have to pay his state and local taxes, and he's not going to get the deduction on his federal taxes anymore. And to him, I say, you can afford it. It's good for your local community. Do a good job, and it'll be fine, because there's so many other offsets in this bill, lower rates and other things, that are going to make it possible for you to do it. So this is all about making those who can pay, and give it a break to the rest of us.
A taxpayer revolt in these alleged high-tax states notwithstanding, it appears we might have another voter revolt based on politicians behaving badly, and this time the shoe is on the other foot, on the other side of the aisle. We'll put the article back up again from Newsmax.com, and that infamous photo: Franken groping scandal engulfs Senate and House Democrats. Now, Michael, in political parlance, pardon the imagery, but it appears Al Franken is hugging this. He's saying, yeah, go ahead and investigate me. I'm terribly sorry. It was boorish behavior. It was not funny.
I've lost my audio with you, JD, but if you can hear me, I'll say to you that Al Franken has adopted this because he knows that Senate ethics is going to whitewash it for him, as they have again and again. And so why not turn yourself into Andy Taylor, knowing that Aunt B is going to come and bring you a meal, you're going to pay a $2 fine and be on your way, then actually have a real look at what you've been doing.
Oh, wow, I love it. Andy Griffith point of view on what happened with Al Franken. So all the talk about the Democrats forcing Al Franken to resign is just talk. They're gonna, like Otis, let him lock himself up and let himself out to do whatever he does, most importantly, to vote the Democrat way on the Senate floor. That's what you're telling me, right? About 30 seconds remains, Michael.
I fear you're correct, JD. And I'll tell you, the Ethics Committee in the House that you and I worked with did a tremendous job. And these reports lately of some slush fund or something, this is news to me. But the Ethics Committee takes many, many complaints, usually of a highly partisan, highly bitter, highly stupid nature, and sorts through them without them ever getting to the press, because they could be so colossally damaging. And most of them are absolutely foundless. The work in the Senate, I don't know how they work over there, but I know if Al Franken is embracing it, it's got to be to his advantage.
A word to the wise from a guy who knows how the left operates, Michael Patrick Flanagan. Mike, stay with us. We continue Fridays with Flanagan, with Hillary Clinton finding something objectionable, like getting caught. Back with more after this.
And I think any man who really has faith in himself will be dubbed arrogant by his fellows.
He was a writer, collector, philosopher, and world-famous artist whose tools of the trade were concrete and steel. Frank Lloyd Wright was born Frank Lincoln Wright on June 8, 1867, in Richland Center, Wisconsin. At age 14, he adopted his mother's maiden name, Lloyd, to honor her after she had divorced his father. Even before he was born, his mother, Anna, envisioned him to be a world-famous architect and covered his nursery walls with pictures of majestic cathedrals and buildings. He believed architects needed to be both poets and prophets, with the ability to see 10 years into the future and then build to it. His philosophy of, quote, "No house should ever be on a hill or on anything. It should be of the hill, belonging to it. Hill and house should live together, each the happier for the other," gave birth to a unique series of architectural styles. One of the most famous designs, Falling Water in southwestern Pennsylvania, was completed in 1935. Other signature works include the S.C. Johnson Wax Research Tower in Racine, Wisconsin, and the Guggenheim Museum in New York City. During his 70-year career, Frank Lloyd Wright wrote 20 books and designed 1,000 structures, of which 532 were built. He died on April 9, 1959, at age 91. But to this day, the American Institute of Architects still considers him the greatest American architect of all time. You're watching An American Life on Newsmax TV.
BLITZKRIEG, the military campaign that conquered France. Now see the battle like never before, with restored newsreels from the people who witnessed it firsthand. Watch The Fall of France this weekend on Newsmax TV. Stay with Newsmax TV. J.D. Hayworth will be right back after this. You're watching J.D. Hayworth on Newsmax TV.
Yeah, I'm just not having any luck dating.
Hello!
Then why don't you try eharmony? We could find the perfect person for you. We've helped over 1 million people get married.
That sounds great.
Stop waiting. Start communicating for free today.
Okay, I picked out my dream car. Now's the really fun part. Choosing the color, the wheels, the interior, everything exactly how I want it. Here's the thing. Just because I configured this car online doesn't mean it really exists at a dealership. But with TrueCar, I get real pricing on actual cars in my area. I see what others paid for them, and they show me the ones that match the car I want. So I know I can go to a TrueCar certified dealer, and it'll be right there waiting for me. Today, right now. This is TrueCar.
Good morning, I'm Miranda Kahn. The former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, says he wouldn't say there was no collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia anymore.
More and more of this has come out, which at least is still circumstantial, but it's getting more and more compelling as time goes on.
Yeah. Back in January, Clapper and other intelligence officials say that there was no evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. The Wall Street Journal reports that Robert Mueller subpoenaed campaign officials for documents related to Moscow. At least 20 people suffer injuries after a massive fire. Take a look, erupts at a Philadelphia nursing home. Firefighters say they've now contained this blaze and are investigating its cause. TransCanada Corporation shuts down parts of the Keystone Pipeline after it leaked out more than 200,000 barrels of oil in South Dakota. The move comes just 4 days before Nebraska was set to decide on that pipeline. And Newsmax.com releases its list of the 100 most influential evangelicals in the U.S. Some familiar faces made the cut, such as Vice President Mike Pence and 2008 GOP vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin. For much more on these stories and to see the complete list, visit Newsmax.com.
They send a signal that we're going to be like some dictatorship, some authoritarian regime where political opponents are going to be unfairly, fraudulently investigated. That rips at the fabric of the contract we have, that we can trust our justice system.
Former First Lady, New York Senator, Secretary of State, and Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton engaged in some projection. Imagine this. She says she's worried about the Trump people if an independent counsel is appointed to look into her alleged misdeeds and those of her husband involving Russia and Uranium One, not to mention the dossier, why that would politicize the system. Meantime, the independent counsel at work right now, Bob Mueller, as we take a look at the article from Newsmax.com, Mueller subpoenaed Trump campaign documents. Curiouser and curiouser, said Alice. To find out what Michael Patrick Flanagan has to say, let's return to our good friend via Skype from Washington. So, Mike, walk us through this in the 2.5 minutes that remain in this segment.
This is awesome. And you heard Miranda Kahn's excellent report just before you came on, JD, where she quoted James Clapper saying, oh, it's looking bad for Trump. You know, it's still circumstantial, but it's looking bad for him. He's finally exposed himself as the Democratic hack people like me have been calling him right along. The members of Congress and some of the administration are beginning to call for an independent counsel for Hillary. And so every panic button on the Democratic side has been pushed. The line is you're a banana republic if you go after previous administrations, however criminal they are. Hillary said it, Podesta said it, and now they're trotting out anyone that they can find to say, don't look over here, keep looking at the Trump administration because it's over there. Hacks like Clapper and people like him. They're absolutely at the root of the Democratic establishment. They have no interest in the rule of law. They have an interest in protecting the money that they've stolen, the power that they've created, and their capacity to continue to influence us for their own ends, which I don't believe are in anyone's best interest other than their own. We are going to beat this back. We are absolutely have to have an independent counsel on Hillary Clinton, if for no other reason than the fact that she's screaming it'll be a banana republic if you do. You know you've got her dead to rights if she's screaming this loud about this. We've got to go, we've got to do this, and we've got to make this right, JD.
30 seconds. Do you believe an independent counsel will be appointed? And if not, what happens with Jeff Sessions?
That's a great question. I hope Jeff, screws up his courage and does this, because it's really all with him. He can say aye, yes, or no. He's right now living in the world where he says he's recused himself from all things Russia, but he kind of backtracks on it. If he doesn't do this, I think the American people are going to scream for him to go, and we'll have to get someone in who does do this. People want finality in this. Even if it clears her, we want to know.
All right, fair enough. And I want you to know, Michael Patrick Flanagan, how much we appreciate what it is you have to say as you join us each Friday for Fridays with Flanagan. We look forward to our next visit in the days to come. I think we're going to give you a break for Thanksgiving because I'm going to take one too. But thanks very much, Mike, and happy Thanksgiving. Now, we give thanks for the fact that you're watching, and you probably have some comments. It's Open Phone Friday. Give me a call at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. We're coming right back.